The plains civilizations of West Asia or the Middle East were the earliest carriers of musical culture. In the Qabul era, music was only used for entertainment, but later it was not only functioned as entertainment, music was also functioned as religious equipment. We all know that the majority of ancient civilizations were adherents of animism and dynamism, a religion that served and sanctified ancestral spirits. The role of music is so important in the harmony and perfection of ancient religious rituals. These are some of the musical instruments of the ancient West Asian civilization. Their music is bigger than other cultural arts. It has even become the livelihood of some residents or is now called a musician. Egyptian cultural expert named Joyce Ann Tildesley writes in his book, according to Helen Strudwick, who is also an expert, ancient Egypt says some ancient tombs depicted a bas-relief singer covering his ears, which he thought was done to gain more concentration. We remember that when Muslims say the call to prayer, they also do the same thing to gain concentration.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
The similarity of ancient Egyptian musical instruments with the Middle East lies in its type, adopting stringed and percussion instruments as its main. The notation system has not been implemented. They only play the size of the sound that they think can produce harmonic strains. Ancient Egyptian custom combines music with the addition of dance. Egyptologist Richard H. Wilkinson says, Egyptian dancers perform a dance full of sexuality, a kind of erotic dance. The ancient Egyptians, in any era of culture, were completely comfortable with their naked bodies. Scholar named Marie Parsons commented, Dancing women by moving the waist as a hallmark of Egyptian dance. Similar to modern belly dance in the Middle East. It seems that they both have the same parent culture. Musical performances with sensual dances are not only for public entertainment but also for the entertainment of the kings of Egypt or the pharaohs. Egyptian leaders are not only political figures in the government, but also as religious figures. Performances before the pharaohs of course had deep philosophical meaning for the ancient Egyptian civilization. So, the function of Egyptian dance and music has entered the joints of religious belief. Religion in ancient Egypt was not like the common religion of today. They embraced dynamism and animism. Pharaoh's role was very important in guiding the Egyptian people to obey this sacred belief. The spirits of the ancestors were believed to have sacred powers, many of whom were depicted as Egyptian gods and goddesses. Music for animists is a great tool for religious accompaniment as well as for occult communication with what they consider to be gods. Gay Robbins, an Egyptologist, depicts men playing the harp and singing hymns to the gods, while women at the same time perform dances. Egyptian music tradition and philosophy stems from the goddess Hathor, who is believed to be the goddess of love and music. She is depicted as a woman with two ox horns holding the sun and a snake coiled above her. If we look closely, the title as the goddess of love and music is shown to Hathor as if it were a projection of the dark events of the Kabyle tribe. Starting with music, then dance, love, adultery, and ending with war. The giving of Hathor's character is quite clearly seen as a reflection of the life of the Kabyle tribe. From Egypt, the African continent, we invite you to cross the Mediterranean Sea to the European continent. There we can find the development of music progressing. Greece, musical customs are a central element in symposia or drinking parties. After they finished eating, they sang songs to the accompaniment of Greek musical instruments. And late at night, they would parade through the city streets as part of the closing party. Music of the pleasure function experienced an increase in Greece after combining it with verse or poetry. The poetry reader in the accompaniment of music as long as he is poetry. One package of poetry and music actually creates a new culture again, namely the performing arts drama. This is where the forerunner of acting or pretending, which later bears the fruit of today's theater and film. The genres that are presented are also varied, so that the audience does not get bored and get carried away by the atmosphere of the stage. Regarding the history of the origin of music in ancient Greece, there is a complicated relationship between ancient Greek mythology and legend, making it difficult to guess which is fact and which is myth. Interestingly, it turns out that the word music comes from the word muses, which is said to be the name of the daughter of Zeus, the ancient Greek god of authority. Here the music is still the same as previous civilizations, of course to accompany the religious rituals of ancient Greek religion. The offering ceremony to the gods is always accompanied by mystical and mysterious melodies. For the Greeks, music was literally seen as a gift from the gods. The invention of certain instruments was associated with certain gods. Personifying musical elements is said to entertain the gods on Mount Olympus. The majestic mountain is believed to be the abode of gods and goddesses.
The 6th century BC. Pythagoras, the famous Greek mathematician and philosopher, travels throughout Egypt over the course of 10 years to study the esoteric arts under various local priesthoods.
Pythagoras is certainly one of the most interesting characters that we see in Greek history. In 535 BC, Pythagoras left his home in Samos, Greece, and traveled to Egypt, where he was initiated by the Egyptian priesthood in all of the different secret societies and organizations that they had available. And from this secret knowledge, Pythagoras obtained information that seems very, very far ahead of his time.
Pythagoras one day was walking past a blacksmith shop and heard the sound on the anvils and got fascinated with sound and thought it could be understood mathematically.
Pythagoras, in hearing these tones made by the metal striking the metal, intuited that there was a mathematical relationship between the different notes in a scale. There was a proportional relationship of ratios between these different notes in the scale.
When you look at Western music, it all has its root with Pythagoras. And the great discovery he made is that the waves generated, say by strings or wind instruments, could be converted into clear notes and scales by using fractions and discrete ratios. So we end up with thirds, fifths, fourths, octaves, by simply taking the string and holding it in these fractional ratios. You get sound in these ratios, and it's very pleasing and works very well to the human ear. So Pythagoras did this amazing job of taking math and geometry and tying it to music, which then led to the entire Western musical scale.
Pythagoras' revelations regarding sound and music led him to speculate that the universe itself and everything in it is in a constant state of vibration. He theorized that there is a harmony throughout the cosmos, and that even the planets emit their own unique sounds.
Pythagoras thought of the universe as operating as a harmonious whole, which he compared to a lyre, an instrument that is a little bit like the modern harp in that it has different strings. Each string vibrates at a different frequency, producing a different sound. He thought that each planet in the solar system vibrated at its own unique frequency and produced what he called the music of the spheres.
When you look at the individual planets in our solar system and around the universe, radiation that's emitted in each planet will be in its own frequency range. We can convert that to an audible signal and think of each planet having its own signal or tone or music that goes with it.
In ancient Rome, the custom of music was identical to that in ancient Greece. Play or drama performances still need music. A bit of cultural improvisation certainly takes place here. For example, the theater is humorous, or what is now called comedy as the beginning of today's comedy spectacle. The role of musical instruments is also mixed with an art called pantomimus, or called pantomime, which is an early form of the history of the creation of the art of ballet dance. During the reign of Emperor Nero, musical competition became something interesting, a competition between classy musicians who brought their proud music melodies. Attracting the hearts of the Roman people was a major achievement. Even Emperor Nero was willing to prepare for this competition in earnest, so he traveled to Greece to get an original aspect of music. If previously music was combined with performances with feminine characters, it turns out that spectacles with masculine characters are no less popular, namely music in gladiator shows. The craze of the male youth at the Colosseum Stadium in Rome.
On this day, we reach back to hallowed antiquity to bring you a recreation of the second full.
Armed fighters do battle to entertain the audience. They fought against fellow gladiators, beasts and convicts. Some gladiators were volunteers who risked their social lives and lives in the arena.
Of the barbarian Hannibal, ferocious mercenaries and warriors from all brute nation bent on merciless destruction, conquest.
In addition, music also serves as a trigger for the spirit of the country's military soldiers in the face of war. This is as the late Roman writer and historian Flavius Vegetius Renatus put it in his book,